order. I thank everyone for being on the phone and here today, and all of the support we've had over the last few months. But I also want to take time to thank the utility workers for all their hard work and what they've been doing, not only working in the struggles with COVID-19, but then in the past 48 hours with restoring the power back after Cristobal. And those guys I can't say enough good things about them, and the other commissioners, I'm sure, agree that living on the coast, it's tough to operate in those conditions that we had, and I want them to know how much we appreciate them. At this time, I'd like to invite Commissioner Presley to introduce our pastor this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate that. Sorry to be down here, but we're appropriately socially distanced and complying with the rules. So appreciate today having Dr. Gregory Goodwiller. Dr. Goodwiller is an ordained minister in the Presbyterian Church USA, having served pastorates in North Carolina and Mississippi. He's worked for the Presbytery of St. Andrew, which is the Presbyterian Church's governing council over the churches in North Mississippi since 2000, and its executive presbyter and its parliamentarian and stated clerk since 2006. In 2019, he was additionally elected as the Synod Executive Director of the Synod of Living Waters, the Presbyterian Church's regional governing council over the presbyteries in the states of Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Reverend Goodwiller holds a Doctorate of Ministry degree from the McCormick Theological Seminary in Chicago, a Master of Divinity and Master of Arts degrees from Union Presbyterian Seminary in Richmond, Virginia, and a bachelor's degree from the University of South Alabama. Dr. Goodwiller, with my mistake on the seminary, not cemetery, we welcome you today and thank you for being willing to give our opening prayer.
Thank you. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good to be with you today. Thank you for inviting me to these uncharted waters and finding great comfort and hope in words of ancient writers from our faith. So the prayer I'd like to offer this morning, was written over 1,500 years ago by an early church bishop, Augustine of Hippo. He was a bishop in North Africa. His words are ancient, but they could have been written yesterday in this country. Let us pray. God of life, there are days when the burdens we carry are heavy on our shoulders and weigh us down. When the road seems dreary and endless, the sky is gray and threatening. When our lives have no music in them, and our souls and hearts are lonely and have lost their courage. Flood the path with light. Turn our eyes to where the skies are full of promise. Tune our hearts to brave music. Give us a sense of comradeship with heroes and saints of every age. And so quicken our spirits that we may be able to encourage the souls of all who journey with us on the road of life. To your honor and glory. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Goodwiller. We appreciate you taking time out this morning to join us. I appreciate that very much. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you again, Pastor. So we're going to move straight on to the consent agenda with item number 1, the adoption of proposed consent agenda for June 2020 meeting for the commission.
Move we approve the consent docket agenda as presented.
All right, do I have a second?
Got a second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Next item is on the energy agenda. Discussion and possible action regarding the proposed order docket number 2018 UN 205 Entergy Mississippi LLC Notice of Intent of Entergy Mississippi to implement revisions to the formula rate plan and FRP-7 2020 evaluation. Ms. Myrick. Ms. Myrick. Unmute you. Ms. Myrick, if you can hear me, unmute your phone. Star six, star six. Ms. Myrick. Going once. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, that order's been circulated. I move we approve it.
yeah, okay, good. We have a motion. Do I have a second?
You got a second?
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Next one is discussion and possible action regarding the proposed docket 2020 UA 040 Entergy Mississippi petition by Entergy Mississippi LLC for a certificate of public convenience and necessity to make reliability improvements to and modernize its transmission infrastructure in Rankin and Scott counties. Ms. Meyer, have you joined us yet?
I just got a text from Ms. Stenmark says that they cannot unmute their phones for some reason. *6.
Unless they're using the mute button on their actual phone as well.
Check your local mute button. We are not muted on this end.
She said we've checked both.
Okay. Well,
Oh,
hey,
here we go.
there you go. Okay, we're on to item 2.
This filing is a request for a certificate of public convenience and necessity for a 16.8-mile transmission line rebuild from Scott Switching Station to the Pelahatchie substation. This project is the fourth and final phase in a series of upgraded projects designed to rebuild the entire branch transmission line from the Atala substation to the Morton substation, and it is necessary to maintain compliance with NERC reliability standards. LISA approved the project in the 2017 MTEP planning process. The cost of the project is estimated at $15.6 million, and it is estimated to increase an average residential bill using 1,000 kilowatt hours of 14 cents per month. Staff recommends approval of the proposed order.
Move we approve, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
You got a second?
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Now we're going to go on to telecommunications agenda item number 1, discussion and possible action regarding the proposed order in docket number 2020 UA 012 Logan Parent LLC with Grasshopper Group LLC joint petition of Logan Parent LLC and Longmine Incorporated for approval of the transfer of control of Grasshopper Group LLC to Logan Parent LLC. And Ms. Denmark?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The proposed transaction will transfer control of Logmein Incorporated, including the subsidiary Grasshopper Group that operates here in Mississippi, to Logan Parent LLC. Grasshopper is authorized to provide resold inter-exchange telecommunications services in Mississippi. No assignment of licenses, certificates of public convenience, assets, or customers will occur as a consequence of the proposed transaction. The non-streamlined petition was filed with the FCC in docket WC 19-396, with comments due on January 29, 2020, and reply comments due on February 5, 2020. The petition is in order, and staff recommends approval contingent upon FCC approval.
I move we approve as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
You got a second?
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. All righty.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
before we move on to the administrative agenda, can we ask Ms. Myrick just for a quick, very brief explanation of the matter that she was unable to join us with?
Yeah, Ms. Myrick,
Just for the record and general public.
go back and, if you would, discuss item 1 on the,
Sure. This is Entergy's annual formula rate plan filing that adjusts the company's base rate for the current year, and it provides a look-back at the results of the prior year. In the 2019 look-back filing, the company requested a surcharge increase of approximately $7.3 million for under-recovered costs in 2019. But after staff's review, the company and the staff stipulated that no revenue requirement company and staff stipulated to an increase of $23.8 million, which is a decrease of $1 million in the requested revenue requirement. Per the tariff, the company implemented a 2% temporary rate increase in April billing prior to staff's review, which amounted to an increase of $3.39 per month in an average residential bill within 1,000 kilowatt hours. Subsequent review reduced the proposed revenue requirement, supporting the temporary rate, and results in a 6-cent decrease per month to an average residential bill effective with July billing. Staff recommends approval of the joint stipulation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, now on to the administrative agenda. Givens item 1 and 2 are similar filings. I'd like to take these up together.
Move we approve them as presented.
All right, do I have a second?
You got a second?
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, on to item number 3. Discussion and possible action regarding docket number 1990UA156 in reference dual party relay service monthly maintenance surcharge contract renewal for Sprint. Mr. Farmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We are, as an agency, charged with maintaining a trust fund that is funded by small bills sent to anyone with a landline. And this is for the purpose of operating the dual party relay system, which is a system of telephone usage that allows the hearing impaired to see words typed out using their landline telephone. Sprint has been operating this system for the state, and their contract is to expire. What's before the commission today is just a renewal for a 3-year term. There is a slight increase in the charge. It hasn't gone up in 3 years, so we were expecting a little bit of that. One of the things that goes into that increase is that this is a service that, while we're still statutorily required to provide, is getting used by fewer and fewer people based on the proliferation of mobile phones and text messages. So there are fewer and fewer people using it these days, so the costs do go up. But this would extend Sprint's contract to operate this system in the state of Mississippi for an additional 3 years.
Okay, any questions?
Just one comment. I mean, Mr. Farmer, it's true, though, that this fee is only assessed to landline services, right? And that's making the fund woefully inadequate as one of the reasons that we have to up the fee, right?
Well, the Sprint is charging more for what we already have for their services. The commission several years ago had to increase the fee that is paid by landline customers to a quarter a month. They pay 25 cents a month, and that is correct. It is not assessed to cellular phones. If it were assessed to cellular phones, it would be down to about 1 or 2 cents a person.
Yeah.
A month.
I just want to make the point for the commission that we kind of went through this the last several years ago and tried to get legislation that would actually enable that to be spread among everybody paying for it, which means it would get down to just a handful of pennies. But it's probably going to be an issue we're going to have to confront in the next couple of years if these prices still go up.
If the prices keep going up. But the
going
trust fund is in good shape now.
Right.
The increased fee is covering the cost of the service provided. The commission signs off on we keep track of that trust fund every month.
I move we approve the contract.
Okay. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
You got a second?
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I want to go back to items 1 and 2 because I didn't read that. I want to make sure everybody knows what that is. 1 is discussion and possible action regarding the proposed order docket number 2020 UA058 Cane Creek Solar, and that's an order referring the matter to me for hearing and recommendation. Number 2 is discussion and possible action regarding the proposed order docket number 2020 UA059 Moonshot Solar, order referring it to me for hearing and recommendation. So is there any other business before the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I move with unanimous consent to add one item to the agenda, and that is the nomination of the executive secretary, to send that nomination to the Secretary of the Senate.
Okay, we have a nomination. Do we have a second on that?
I just nominate Ms. Collier and have, this is under Code 77-115-1. We have to do that. that has to be confirmed by the Senate. And
Okay.
just move that we execute a letter, send it to the Secretary of the Senate to accomplish that.
So we'll make a motion to close the nominations. All in favor of Ms. Collier?
Aye.
Signify by saying aye. Any
One
opposed?
last thing, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to recognize two people that snuck in, which keep us from violating the DFA rules. Two good friends of mine from Alabama, but soon to be residents of Oktibbeha Hall County. Former State Representative Johnny McMorrow, who served 28 years in the Alabama House, and his wife Martha, both who are moving to Starkville and are here today on other business. Johnny Mac was one of the pioneers and leaders in Alabama on their rural broadband bill and funding, and served 28 years in the House representing Franklin and a portion of Lauderdale and Colbert counties, I think. And so I just want to say welcome to them and thank them for being here today.
Mr. Chairman, if I could add one thing about the extension of the Sprint contract, that would be authorization for the executive secretary to sign that contract on behalf of the commission. That's the way that we typically do those contracts. I don't think I was clear about that, instead of circulating the contract for individual commissioner signatures.
Okay. Anybody else got anything?
As far as the letter to the Secretary of State office, we secure that?
Okay, if there's nothing else, do I have a motion to
Secretary
adjourn?
of the Senate, Secretary of the Senate, sorry.
I move with adjourn.
All right, second.
Second to adjourn.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you for coming.